Alrighty, Sterling, we're in the third part of our show now, and this is our lesson segment. So this is the part of the show where our guests get to teach a mini lesson to our viewers and our listeners. Now, I did forget to actually ask you what it was that you wanted to do. So did you have a particular topic? Because I did have an idea written down here. I thought maybe your competition-style drumsticks. I thought they looked pretty good. But would you like to talk about that, or would you like to talk about something else?
You know what? That's a good one. And I've actually done well with those drumsticks. The cool thing is I have, I think, 9 perfect 180s, KCBS 180s in chicken. And I picked one up in drumsticks. It was last year at the Boulder City competition. But I took first place several times. And just recently, I haven't been out of the top 10 in drumsticks probably since I've been cooking them. But I switched from thighs to drumsticks recently. So here's big tips. Okay, number 1. What did I tell you earlier? Well, know where your meat's from, right? Source your meat. Get the proper meat. I use a certain specific chicken that's sold in my grocery store. It's a pre-enhanced chicken, so it already has some phosphates, carrageenan, and some salt injected to it. In KCBS competitions, you cannot add to the meat. You can only take away before it's inspected by the judges. But if it is pre-enhanced by the manufacturer, it's okay, as long as it doesn't have any flavorings like teriyaki, lemon pepper, things like that. So I like to use a pre-enhanced chicken. To me, you're ahead of the game. It's already injected. It's already going to have some flavoring. And if I'm going to do my legs, the big thing that most people ask about is I don't have enough skin. I don't have enough skin. It seems to, always peel back. So how are you going to get more skin? To me, I use a leg-thigh combo. So what I'm going to do is take that leg and thigh. I'm going to take the thigh out of it. So pretty much leave all that skin extra attached. So I have a lot of skin to work with. After that, I'm going to take all that extra skin, kind of peel back, almost where you're holding it like an ice cream cone. And on the inside of that leg, there's a membrane there. So I take a knife and I shallow cut it out. I want to make sure I get that membrane. I want to make sure judge doesn't bite it and it's a tug. I want it to be a nice clean bite. So I just take that membrane out. And then what I'll do is with scissors, I kind of lay all the drums out there and I look at them by size. I want them to be uniform. We want to cook uniform. And I kind of judge the middle one and say, okay, this is the middle to smallest one. And then I'll take that big one and start trimming it with scissors all the way around that head until I'm just kind of working it down to the size they're all kind of the same. I do that with every single one. After they're relatively the same size, I take the skin and pull it back over. And then with a knife, I'll start taking that skin and taking some of the fat that's under that skin that's just around that part that's going to lay over the head, just so I can thin out that skin. Sometimes it's a lot of fat under there, and if you don't take that fat off, it's not going to lay smoothly around the head of that chicken. It's going to have lumps, and it's not going to have a clean look. So I get as much of that fat off, and I take scissors and just trim it to where the skin just kind of lays over that head. And then that's number 1. You got to pick it out and then trim it right. After you trim it right, I kind of store it until it's comp time. Once it's ready to go, I'm going to inject it. So I actually use a chicken injection. I use Swanson's chicken broth. And recently I've been using Philip Breeden. He's been killing it on the barbecue circuit. He makes LC barbecue foul play chicken injection. It's great stuff. Nice little kick. I use that as my chicken injection. And I never chill my injection. I keep it warm the whole time. So I actually make it, I usually make it Friday afternoon. I put it in the shaker bottle, put it in my trailer, and just leave it until Saturday morning when I'm ready to inject. Saturday morning after, brisket and pork's been on the grill, because those start a little bit early. Then I'll inject my chicken. I pull the heads down, inject all around the head. I get as much in there as possible. It's one bite barbecue. You want that everything to boom, pop. It's got to be good, clean, but it's got to have flavor. And chicken's bland. You ever boil a piece of chicken? It tastes like nothing. And the chicken's just bland meat. It needs pop. It needs to wake up. So I load it as much as possible. Pull that skin around. I'm gonna take my Gold Star chicken. This is tip number. You got to use the Gold Star chicken rub. If you're not using Gold Star chicken, then good luck. Gold Star all around that thing. Put it in a pan, and I like to cook it in a pan pretty much at the beginning with a little pat of butter. Another thing we see is on those legs, there'll be a blowout where that skin's going to blow out a little bit if you cook it too long. It's not a good presentation. I like to put pats of butter all along where the handle is. smoke it on the GMG for around 50 minutes, 55, maybe an hour. Just depends on when it's golden and nice. Throughout the cook, I'll spray it with, I can't believe it's not butter, just to keep that outside nice and golden and crispy. I don't want to say crispy. I want it soft, actually. So I want it golden and soft. And so after it's been, the color's right where I want it, I'll take a little bit more butter and put it on the drumsticks, and I'll put foil over it, put it back on the smoker. And we're at about 300 degrees on the GMG. After I put the foil on, I bump it down to about 280 or so, because I don't want, if it steams in there, it can start breaking up those skins too much. So at about, once I foil it and put it back on, bump it down to about 280. What I'm going to do is open that foil after about 20, 25 minutes. And this is just reading the smoker, reading my environment, reading how the cook's been going. That's something that, a lot of people don't talk about in barbecue classes. They'll teach you recipes and this, but you got to read the cook. The cook will tell you how long to do stuff. How's your grill running? How cold is it outside? There's a lot of that factors into what elevation are you at? A lot of that goes into your cook. So you got to read the cook. So that cook will tell you if it's going to be 20, 25, 30 minutes, So after the cook tells you, open the lid, and I want to make sure none of it's blown out. And then I put a thermometer in the head of that chicken, and I want it to be close to 200 degrees, sometimes 202, 203, depending on the elevation. But if I'm close to 200 degrees, that's telling me we're good. I'll take them out, take the foil off, then I do another trimming session where I take each individually out, because they've been sitting in that pan in butter. Bottom's going to be soggy, the seasoning is going to be washed off. There's going to be nothing there. So I take each leg and kind of trim again any loose peats that are hanging, season again with Gold Star chicken rub, and then put it on like a wire rack, every single one of them. That wire rack goes back on the grill, and it's going to be for about 10 minutes. Read the cook, about 10, 12 minutes. Just enough to where that seasoning's set back into the chicken. It's not soggy. I'm not taking soggy chicken and putting it in sauce and then putting it on the rack. I'm taking like dry, nice chicken. I'm not watering down my sauce. It's not going to be a mess. And then I'm actually re-seasoning it to get a nice bite on the underside. So once it's been set about 10, 12 minutes, take it off. Then I dunk it in sauce. Put it back on the grill. We're setting it back for 10 minutes or so, just until it tackies up. After that, man, we're throwing it in the box, crossing our fingers, and hopefully taking a walk.
Man, thank you so much for that.
Man. That's everything, man. I think I did it. Yeah, that's pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah. You were so comprehensive. I literally only wrote one question down, and that was just, when you've got all that extra skin from the thigh and you're wrapping that around, how do you pin it in place?
I don't worry about pinning it in place. To me, if it's wrapping around, if it's too much, I'll use scissors and cut it. I want it enough to wrap around, and if there's extra, mind you, that chicken's sitting in this pan of butter this whole time. By the time you take it out, and if it's at 200 degrees, it's probably going to be blown out. The bottom of that chicken's probably going to be blown out. I want it blown out, because to me, that's going to be a nice soft bite. It's going to be a bite through chicken skin, as long as the bottom is. So that skin, it's just going to dissipate throughout the cook, and you're not even going to know it's there. Also, during that trimming process, when I put it back onto the grill to set, if there's any of that extra stuff, I trim it off then.